This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, do I have to agree with that? What? It does not matter who the host is. Anyways, today is Tuesday, July the 27th of 2021, day 208 of the year. Yes, day 208 of the year, and only 157 days left to go. Anyways, how are you? Hopefully everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods as everything is going on and moving forward and all that kind of fun stuff. Anyways, we're broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. And that's not a joke as I say that. And we're streaming across the multiverse of Safety FM. And then we're hanging out with our friends, our colleagues, our familia, if you may, at, that other place.
Radio.
So yeah, hanging out with the peeps at Radio Big as well as we are hanging out this morning doing the things that we do. So how was your overnight? Did everything go good and grand and as expected?
Duh.
That's kind of an important question. So I always ask those things because I want to know how you're starting off because, depending on the time of the day that it is, it could be late in the day, it could be early in the morning, it could be whatever the hell it is, depending on your time zone. So we wanted to make sure that everything is good and grand in your neck before we continue to move on and proceed with all that kind of fun stuff. So let's start talking about it. Let's start talking about what was trending in the overnight, because those things are always important. So today's Tuesday, so we normally talk about the top songs that are out there. So trending at the number 5 spot, according to iTunes, was Nelly in Florida Line with Little Bit. And then Lil Nas X with Industry Baby. At number 3, Ed Sheeran, Bad Habits. And number 2, Walker Hayes with Fancy Like. And then at the number 1 spot, Jason Aldean and Carrie Underwood, If I Didn't Love You. Oh, how sweet. So those were the top songs according to iTunes. Taking the other look at the chart on the other side here. Here's what we got for you. Top 5 on Spotify. Lil Nas X with Industry Baby. Number 4, Ed Sheeran with Bad Habits. Number 3, Olivia Rodrigo with Good For You. Justin Timberlake, why do I always want to call this dude Justin Timberlake? Justin Bieber at number 2 with Stay. And then Manskin for Begging. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of that music. What kind of music do you listen to? Do any of the top 5 songs that I talk about here resonate with what you have going on? I ask because I don't know. So that's the question that I ask. Because we talk a lot about music kind of in a combination between this show and the other show, especially in the morning. So I always wonder how you're taking a look at it. Does it something that it resonates with what you have going on, or you just kind of go, okay, can we stop talking about the music stuff and let's proceed with life? I don't know. I'm just asking. Anyways, let's continue down the path here. Let's get to my friends at Feature Story News, because they're always talking about some features that are happening as stories that are occurring as well in the news. Yeah, something like that. So here you go.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Chris Jones. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be in India on Tuesday on a 2-day visit. The trip comes against the backdrop of the United States pulling out of Afghanistan. The repercussion of that, along with regional security matters, could be up for discussion, as Ishan Gerg reports from New Delhi.
India's Ministry of External Affairs says Taliban's rampant rise in Afghanistan is a matter of particular concern. Reports suggest that climate change and China's rising influence in the region could also feature prominently in the discussions. Blinken's visit could also set the stage for the first in-person meeting of the leaders of US, India, Australia and Japan, expected to take place later this year. The group, also known as the Quad, is widely seen as a response to China's rising influence. But analysts here believe it may not be all smooth sailing. New Delhi could face some serious questions about its record on alleged suppression of free speech during the visit. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
Japan, the US and China are leading the Olympic medal table, but day 4 of the Games may determine who edges ahead. Japan and the US will meet in the softball final, and all 3 countries are battling it out in the women's team artistic gymnastic final. Phoebe Amoroso reports from Tokyo.
After a 13-year absence, softball is back at the Olympics. Japan, who beat Australia 8-1 back in 2008, are looking to defend their title against the US, especially as the match takes place on home soil. The 4th day of the Games also sees the highly anticipated women's team artistic gymnastics final, with a focus on US gymnast Simone Biles after a spectacular performance in Rio when she took 4 golds and 1 bronze. Teams from Japan and China are also in the running, but will face strong competition from Russia. Other highlights include the inaugural surfing finals after the sport was added to the Olympic lineup in a bid to attract a younger audience. Phoebe Amoroso, Tokyo.
South and North Korea have restored their severed hotlines as the 2 countries attempt to rebuild their relationship. Leaders of both countries had exchanged letters earlier this year and agreed to take the step towards better inter-Korean communication. And Hong Kong's High Court will deliver today the verdict of the first person ever trialled under the city's national security law. Samuel Wong reports.
The verdict will be delivered by 3 judges handpicked by the city's leader, Carrie Lam. It will mark the first time a Hong Kong court has interpreted its national security legislation enacted in June last year. Under the current charges, former waiter Tong Yin-kit is accused of secession and terrorism, which are punishable by life imprisonment. Human rights groups and activists say that Tong's case is a departure from Hong Kong's common law tradition, as he was denied bail and a jury trial. The case will also test the limits of free speech in the former British colony, as the court rules on the meaning of the protest slogan, "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times."
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at the situation in Tunisia, where the country's major political parties are accusing President Kais Saied of mounting a coup on Monday. He dismissed the country's prime minister after a weekend of violent clashes in Tunisia, sparked by economic and social difficulties that have in turn been exacerbated by COVID-19. Gaia Ben Mubarak is a reporter with independent Tunisian news organisation Meshkal and says the pandemic is fueling political instability in the country.
Recently, the number of deaths in Tunisia as it goes through its 4th wave of COVID has exceeded 20,000 deaths, a number amounting to 300 deaths per day. Tunisians have been very upset with the handling of the Tunisian government of the crisis, and as of now, only 6 or 7% of the population have been vaccinated, which has been something very late and caused this recent wave.
Tunisia is just one of many countries struggling with the political consequences of COVID-19. The pandemic has the potential to redraw the political and economic map in many parts of the world. The United Nations is urging dialogue to resolve political difference in Tunis. So is the European Union, the Arab League, Russia and Qatar. The White House says the US is concerned by events. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap our headlines, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be in India on Tuesday on a 2-day visit. Japan, the US and China are leading the Olympic medal table, but day 4 of the Games may determine who edges ahead. South and North Korea have restored their severed hotlines as the 2 countries attempt to rebuild their relationship, and Hong Kong's High Court will deliver today the verdict of the first person ever trialled under the city's national security law. That's the latest feature story news. Chris Jones reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And at '09, it was me, your backyard fire.
I know you're probably sitting there for a moment going, well, why don't you just go into Incognito Mode and use that instead? Well, let me tell you something real quick. Incognito Mode does not hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your your browser's history. Your internet service provider can still see every single website you visited. And that's why even when I'm at home, I never go online without using ExpressVPN. It doesn't matter who your internet provider is. It can be Verizon, Comcast, or even AT&T. The ISP in the U.S. can legally sell your information to ad companies. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so your ISP can't see the sites that you visit. ExpressVPN also keeps all of your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption available. Most of the times, I don't even realize I have ExpressVPN on. It runs seamlessly in the background and is so easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button and you're protected. ExpressVPN is available on all of your devices, phones, computers, even your smart TV. So there's no excuse for you not to be using it. Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by CNET and Wired. Visit my exclusive link at expressvpn.com/safety and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/safety. expressvpn.com/safety to learn more.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In 96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in 09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, a lot of stuff going on. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out doing the things that we do here. Anyway, so let's continue talking real quick. Some other stuff going on inside of the world. So a lot of stuff by the people from Feature Story News as always. So let's talk about what's going on in the news that we're going to share this morning. Residents of the neighborhood in Ridgewood, New Jersey are not pleased with all the racket caused by the group of seniors playing pickleball. Yeah, you heard me correctly. The pop, pop, pop sound of unending noise and pollution, one resident said. The court should shut down, they added. The issue has gotten dramatic that the police have been called for noise complaints, and also sound blocking fencing has been erected. Players have been mandated to use noise-reducing balls and paddles and strict hours of play have been implemented. Our neighbors are bothered by the noise that she invested $38,000 in soundproofing in her house. The elderly players have said that little sympathy for the residents, saying that it brings us such joy. How can they put restrictions on our joy? So there you go. Restrictions on our joy is the question to ask about. You know, now that I think about it, isn't there like some Trojan company that actually puts restrictions on joy? What?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so listen to this. Sales of new homes fell off for the third straight month as prices continue to skyrocket. Yep, there you go. The Commerce Department reported yesterday that June sales dropped by 6.6%, and the number is down 19.4%. From a year ago. So there you go. Interesting. So sales of new homes fell off. Now, would the sales of the new homes fall off because lack of inventory and they're selling a whole bunch of old stuff, or gently used homes, or maybe they should be rudely used homes? Who knows? But I mean, just some stuff to think about, of course, as it is coming around and about and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's continue talking. Salmon are dying by the thousands in California rivers. Fishermen who make a living off the adult salmon are sounding the alarm after a heat wave and extended drought in the West has raised water temperatures and became deadly to the fish. Hundreds of thousands of young salmon are dying in northern California in the Klamath River as low water levels brought on by the drought become breeding grounds for parasites to thrive, according to wildlife officials. The warmer waters affect the future generations too, so some adults are dying before they can lay their eggs. Scientists believe that the fish will be able to rebound and adjust in the changing temperatures as they have done the following in the past, though, but local fishermen are also ready to agree, are not so ready to agree. Oh, the question becomes, how do we get a fishing story in the middle of this thing? Or is this a climate story, or is this a fishing story, or is it really a salmon story? So should I stop eating salmon because there's the lack thereof and just kind of see what happens? Who the hell knows?
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
The last missing person from the Chaplin Tower South building collapse in Surfside was identified yesterday. Estella Hedaya was the only remaining victim to be identified after a month-long search and recovery operation. All 98 victims have been identified. A portion of the condo building crumbled on June the 24th as residents slept. The cause of the collapse is still under investigation. What do you think we're going to end up finding when it's all said and done with this? I'm just asking because you know that this investigation is going to be talked about for years to come, especially when we start talking about older buildings and remodeling, HOAs, and maintenance fees. This is not a joke. And I'm talking about this because this is going to be a thing. And believe me, the loss of life here is huge, impactful. In the middle of the night while they're sleeping, boom. But what are we going to see later on? Because this is going to be ongoing. I mean, I would love to say that this is not going to be the case, but for some reason, I don't think that I'm going to be wrong on this one. I mean, I'm wrong about a lot of things, don't get me wrong here. But I think that this is going to be a conversation that's going to go on for a long period of time. What is going to be the element of surprise for you when you start thinking about this and you start hearing about it? Because at the point where it becomes a huge thing where other people start talking about it, is going to be where we start looking at it. And what is going to be compliance-wise the next thing that we see now in construction? Will it tie into this? Those are the questions that you're going to have to start asking yourself. Anyways, here's John Smalls with the Market Beat Minute.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. All the major indices closed at or near all-time highs on Monday. For now, the expectation for strong earnings in the tech sector outweighs concerns about the Delta variant. Cases of COVID-19 continue to rise throughout the United States. However, the market analysts believe that only a return to restrictive lockdown policies would be enough to spook the markets. Of greater short-term concern to investors is the Federal Reserve and what they will say when they conduct their open market committee meeting this week. Specifically, the markets will look for any indication that the Fed will tighten its accommodative money policy sooner than the committee had previously stated. Meanwhile, investors heard from Tesla after the market closed Monday. The timing of Tesla's report is particularly interesting as shares of Lucid Motors jumped 8% on its first day as a publicly traded company. Lucid is seen by many analysts as a competitor to Tesla in the premium electric vehicle market. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, so haven't we heard that Tesla's going to have all kinds of competition for years now? So here's the egg that I'll ask you. Do you think that there will be a huge competition for Tesla with this? Because this car has been talked about for some time, and of course now with it becoming publicly traded, it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts in regards of purchasing the car. That's the thing. Okay, so what I found was all three major stock indexes finished in a positive territory on Monday. On Monday's session, of course, the Dow rose 82 points, the Nasdaq gained 3 points, and the S&P added about 10 points. With market record highs, investors are balancing the resurgence of the virus against more positive earnings news from big tech such as Apple, Amazon.com, and Alphabet, all reporting earnings later this week. So he did talk about this, or he did mention it, so there is not a reason not to. But what are you thinking automatically when you hear about Delta and not the airline, the variant, and how things will start changing? Because here's the gig, as we are talking some more and more and more. With school starting back up, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that you'll start seeing more and more cases because of this? Or do you look at this and go, we won't see a lot of things going on at all with it? I'm just asking the question because this is going to be something that we are going to need to talk about as we do move forward. So just a thought process as we are doing this. Anyways, let's continue talking about the Olympics because it is that time of the year. Olympic medal count, here you go. Number 3 right now is China with 6 gold, 5 silver, 7 bronze. At number 2, the United States with 7 gold, 2 silver, and 4 bronze. And at the number 1 spot, 8 gold, 2 silver, and 3 bronze, and that would be Japan. The latest gold medals earned by the U.S. came in the men's and women's skeet shooting. Vincent Hancock and Amber English became the 5th and 6th American individuals to take home a gold medal in their respective events over the 3 days of competition. The men's 4x100 meter freestyle relay also earned the U.S. some gold. So there you go. If you're looking at all that kind of fun stuff. Are you watching the Olympics? Like, I will tell you that the Olympics is definitely hanging out on Peacock.
Duh.
So that is NBC streaming stuff. And they've actually been pushing that hardcore. So I don't know if you've been taking a look at that. But it's definitely something, I guess, worth watching if you're into that. I just think it's kind of interesting that is how it all comes about. Anyways, let's continue talking. A sandstorm in Utah caused 22-vehicle pileup on Sunday. The crash occurred during high winds that caused the sandstorm, which greatly reduced visibility. The Highway Patrol reported 8 people were killed in the crash, including several children. So there's something to talk about. I don't know. Because here's the thing. When you start thinking about this, and we just talked about Tesla a few moments ago, do you think that their technology would be able to see through a sandstorm? Because I can tell you that if you've been in a Tesla with autopilot or automation inside of there, autonomous driving, you'll notice right away that it can see, number one, extremely far down the road, and it can even make out like cones on the road. So I'm just wondering how far can that technology sink in regards of that, because that'd be the interesting thing, how far it can see and how much it would benefit one. I mean, if you kind of think about it, when you start using intelligent cruise control on a standard car, it's reading the radio from the car that's in front of it. Yeah, that's a whole other story if we really want to get into it.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a deli in Pennsylvania is warning drivers to slow down. A photo has gone viral. Yeah, I did say the photo has gone viral on the sign outside of the deli that reads, "Slow down." The cops hide behind the sign with a police cruiser parked behind the sign. It also mentions a Friday fish fry. I guess that's some good things to tie in there. The Bridgeville Police Department commented, "Well, I guess the joke's on us." Shaking my head. Good one, PJ's Deli. So there you go. I guess they wanted some recognition for what they're doing, and I think they got it. Let's continue talking. The U.S. is now lifting travel restrictions for foreigners due to the the U.S. is not lifting travel restrictions for foreigners due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases caused by the Delta variant. A White House official told Reuters that the decision means that non-U.S. citizens from numerous countries, including the UK, China, India, are still barred from entering the U.S. U.S. airlines, meanwhile, have begged the Biden administration for months to lift the restrictions on travel in an effort to salvage summer tourism. So there you go. What do you think about this? I would love to see and understand where you stand on this information, because I always find it interesting. I always find it interesting on how we have this chaos that comes about in regards to how we look at this. Because should it be lifted? Or should it not be lifted? And there's so many coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and all that kind of fun stuff. I live in a very interesting state where pretty much a good chunk of the bands you can say that are gone. Like if you went right now to any of the major theme parks, yeah, you know which ones I'm talking about, you would know that things are going on. I mean, they will mention on the overhead speakers from time to time. We are encouraging non-fully vaccinated people to wear a mask while you're indoors. But when people are out and around in the park, it doesn't seem to be that much different than it was previously. But here's the thing. At what point do you kind of go, okay, there needs to be more of a lockdown? Or at what point do you say, screw it and let's just run with it and see what happens? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to think about for sure when you start thinking about it. And then how is it impacting tourism where you're located? Now, depending on where you're hanging with us, you could listen to us anywhere around the world, or you could be taking a listen if you're listening on Radio Big in the U.S., Canada, or the UK, and what kind of impact are you having there? I have a friend of mine that was telling me that he hasn't been home to the UK in 2 years. 2 years. Because, of course, he hadn't gone before the pandemic because nobody knew what the hell was going on. So, all of a sudden, boom. So I look at it and it kind of becomes a strange kind of thing when you really start taking a look at it. Talking a little bit more about this, the COVID-19 vaccine is now mandatory for Veterans Affairs healthcare personnel. The mandate, which includes physicians, dentists, nurses, and others who work directly with patients, is the first such mandate by the federal agency. Secretary Dennis Madonna said that the VA is taking the necessary steps to keep the veterans it serves safe. Employees have 8 weeks to be fully vaccinated. So there you go. There's a conversation of a vaccination that people have to take if they are involved with Veterans Affairs healthcare personnel. So as you see the government doing this, is this something that you think organizations will start mandating as well? Or can we talk about the trickle-down effect? Will this be something that occurs in the trickling of the down? Will it be the downward spiral of it going on with other places? Now, the question is imposed to you because that's the stuff that we're talking about. So when you start thinking about this, what do you think? Or do you say, Jay, you're just kind of off your rocker today? Which I'll be like, this is not a rocker. But anyway, something to think about. So let's get into that other portion that we do here because I think it's about that time Is it about that time? Yeah, I think it is. Let's do it.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's start talking about some other things. We're close right here to our main story, so let's talk about it. Because here's the gig. As we talk all around the world about everything that's going on, we have to get to the point that we start talking about some other things that might be deemed serious. By the way, before I get too far away from this, I had somebody tell me yesterday, which I kind of chuckled at. You know something, Jay? I'll try to give the accent as they were giving it to me. You know something, Jay? That safety show of yours, you don't really talk about safety until you get to the middle of it. Because people tend to forget that there's safety in the news. If you listen to the news aspects that we talk about, there is safety in the news. So, yeah, that might be the difficult part for you to understand, because I didn't say this portion is brought to you by, here is a safety chatter. So, whatever. I think that's kind of funny. Another funny thing I heard recently is, Jay, you need a co-host. You need a co-host on a few days out of the week. Really? Let me guess. You're volunteering. I know it. Matter of fact, we can bring in some automation to be my co-host if that works the best. Anyway, so let's talk about what's important, because we need to start talking about safety killers. Yeah, that's not a joke here. But what things inside of your organization kill your safety programs? What things inside of your organization have you taken a look at that you know that definitely this thing will put a killer as a safety inside of your program? I ask this question because this tends to happen a lot inside of organizations, where all of a sudden something starts getting implemented, but you know that it's going to kill everything else inside of the organization that's related to safety. Or you have that one person that sticks out like a sore thumb to you, and all of a sudden you say, okay, this person's going to kill this idea of what we have going on. So what do you think? What comes to mind when we start talking about this? I'm sure there has to be something. I'm sure there's something that goes click, click, boom, that's it. I ask these questions because automatically, here's what happens. We put all of these things inside of our programs that we deem that are going to be good, but then all of a sudden when we start doing the sourcing of it, we come to the conclusion that something's going to kill it. I get it, don't get me wrong. But here's the other side of the coin. Here's the other side of the equation as we are talking about it. If you have one thing that actually you know is going to kill it, why are you implementing it in the first place? Also, the other portion is this is where we start having the whole hang up of we start talking about having buy-in, or we start having people inside of the organization that are essentially your versionality of a yell leader or a cheerleader, where they actually will go out there and push this thing forward for you. But then you can sit back for a few minutes and take a listen or take a view and notice that maybe some of the things that are killing your ideas inside of the organization, or actually are safety killers per se, might come out of that suite that start with the letter C, that C-suite thing. Now, if that's the case, you have bigger problems inside of your organization. So here's the thing. I'm not talking about, hey, let's go out and kill your safety program, because nobody wants to do that. But that's where we start talking about this whole swing of things of forget safety culture. Yeah, you heard me correctly there. Forget the safety culture of the world and put it in as part of the culture of the organization. This way it's not looked at as two separate things. It's looked at as one thing that you are trying to accomplish. I know it's a hard pill to swallow starting off, but when you start thinking about it, it will make more sense in the long run. Because if you're treating everything as one culture and not two separate cultures, then it becomes a little bit easier. These things that could kill your organization in regards to the safety department could actually help boost it also at the same time as if it's part of the overall culture. If you know somebody who actually hates the way that safety is done, spoken about, and so on, talking about the word safety or actions of safety might not actually get them too excited about the world, about what you're trying to accomplish. But where you're trying to tie it into the overall culture of the organization, that might change the sequence quite a bit. Think about that for a moment. Some people are going to sit back for a moment and go, I don't know if that worked. That's okay. That's okay. You can think about it in that fashion. But there's other things that you have to think about. When you're trying to be involved in one culture instead of two cultures, it's a lot easier if you're focusing on one thing than if you're focusing on multiple. But then again, what the hell do I do? I'm just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open. Don't speak with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit tunein2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
We all want to make sure that our family is protected in medical emergencies. What many of us don't realize is that health insurance won't always cover the full amount of an emergency medical flight. Even with comprehensive coverage, you could get hit with high deductibles and copays. That's why an Air Medcare Network membership is so important. As a member, if an emergency arises, you won't see a bill for air medical transport when flown by an AMCN provider. Best of all, a membership covers your entire household for as little as $85 a year. AMCN providers are called upon to transport nearly 100,000 patients a year. This is coverage no family should go without. Now, as a Jay Allen Show listener, you'll get up to a $50 e-gift card with a new membership. Simply visit airmedcarenetwork.com/safety and use the offer code SAFETY. And don't forget to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Can go back. This is by Jake and Jake. It is 41 minutes past the top of the hour. You are listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Just in case if you didn't know where you got lost here. The song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Hit up the club all of a sudden. Here we go. Go back. Jake and Jake, thank you for this one. Maybe what we'll do before the end of the week, maybe we'll just do a whole techno show. You know, really have the people talking about some stuff. Anyways, let's do this. 42 minutes past the top of the hour as we're hanging out here. Anyways, a lot of stuff always going on inside of the world. We hang out. We take a look around. We do all kinds of fun stuff. Did you do anything fun, by the way, during the summer? Have you taken your actual summer vacation? You know, I was taking a look at this, and I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was like, we didn't do shit yet for summer vacation, so maybe it's time to consider that.
Duh.
Don't know how well over that's going to go over with the wife, but we'll talk about I'll let you know if I survive that one. So let's start talking about some other things real quick. Back to school shopping is never a fun thing, and this year expected to be worse. Retail experts are predicting there will be a shortage on many back to school supplies this year. Why? With more classrooms fully reopening in the fall, the industry experts are saying that there are very high demand on school merchandise, with shoppers in the U.S. spending the average of about $850 per family. The demand, along with the tight inventory levels and delayed shipments, will impact retailers' ability to keep the products on the shelves later in the school year shopping season, and which traditionally lasts from mid-July through the end of August. Products most likely will be in short supply included backpacks, stationaries, sports equipment, laptops, and tablets. And with the supply being tight, consumers shouldn't think that they will see great bargains either. Discounts will be less generous due to the fact that there is less stock and because of inflation. Do you remember the whole thing here when back to school shopping consisted of a set of pencils, crayons, and a pair of new sneakers? Because I sure as hell do. As long as there isn't toilet paper shortage, I guess we're all going to be okay. On the bright side, with less stock, maybe the ads will start later this year. Maybe, you never know. But thinking about this real quick, talking about this, as long as there isn't a shortage on toilet paper, I guess you can look into the Tushies, you can look into the Alex, and all that other kind of fun stuff. I've heard that all of them are great cleaners if you have a shortage. Something to think about for sure.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show. You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. I didn't even think about this school supply thing. I mean, so there you go. A lot of fun stuff always going on as we are hanging to the left, hanging to the right. So anyways, let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of this world. Prosper and live long. According to a new study, more money you make, the longer you are likely to live. Researchers at the Northwestern University found that the person's risk of death drops by 5% time another 50,000 is accumulated by middle age. Yes, they found that big earners were more likely to outlive their brothers and sisters with smaller salaries. A difference of $139,000 was associated with a 13% decrease and the probability of death nearly 24 years later. A study found that 5,400 Americans were tracked for almost a quarter of a century. The study author concluded that one of the keys to a long life may lie in your net worth. Trust me, if I outlive my brother, it won't be because I'm richer than him. I'll be purely on that I bear on spite, if you really think about it. So money may not buy happiness, but it can apparently buy you a long, comfortable life. Okay, that's something interesting. And that's a complicated way of saying that if you quit smoking now, you'll not only have 50 grand, you won't die. I mean, that's it's an interesting twist. I mean, I guess there's some other ways to go about saying it.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about this. A new prison-themed bar called Alcatraz is open in British city of Manchester. Alcatraz, which is also a London location, has partnered after the 1950 San Francisco prison. Alcatraz includes jail cells, the lineup in solitary confinement, if you're actually interested in doing that. There are even bad-tempered wardens to keep the eye on the inmates, while most trendy bars prioritize comfort and flattering lights. Alcatraz is built to look exactly like the old-fashioned cell block, including vintage personal effects and toilets, which thankfully are for display purposes only. So let's thank that. Once your group is settled into your private cell and you have orange jumpsuit on, you'll be served cocktails by fellow prisoners, but your drink will be referred to as chicken soup. But first you have to smuggle in some of your own drinks without the warden catching on. But it isn't just a bar. It's the most immersive experience where patrons can encourage to join the unfolding narrative presented by actors posing as inmates. We're not sure if you have to escape at the end of the night, but who the hell knows? But we do know that it costs about $49.50 to get in. So that's kind of a weird thing. If you're there to pick up a date, potentially, that is definitely not the place to go to, it sounds like. So, hey, I just spent more than a year in what it felt like prison. I don't want to go to another jail when I can just finally go out. That's one thing to think about. And yeah, about all those toilets, bad idea, just saying. Hey, look, I mean, on the other side, someone like Sheldon Primus, they have the same wardrobe as you. So he's something that you could say while you're there. Just throwing that out there. Much love, much love.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about some other things going on inside of the world. President Joe Biden says that Americans' combat operation in Iraq will conclude by the year's end following an Oval Office meeting with Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi. Biden said the diplomatic channels will remain open and the U.S. will continue to provide resources to train their security forces and maintain regional stability. Some information coming out of the lottery. No winner for Friday night's Mega Million drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for a $153 million jackpot or a $110.1 million cash payout. So if you're interested in playing, there you go. And then if you're looking at the tube tonight and you're wondering what's going on with the talk shows, just for information purposes, they're all reruns. Yeah, they're all reruns. So think about it that way. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of this world. We talked about it briefly when it first happened, so let's talk about it one more time. We're going to talk about this real quick. Britney Spears continues to go through the ringer here. New lawyers want her dad removed from the conservatorship immediately. Former federal prosecutor Matt Rosengaut claims that Jamie has terrorized his daughter by forcing her to get certain treatments and signing off on drug regimens that were harmful for her. The attorney also alleges that Jamie is ill-equipped to manage Britney's business affairs, saying that the family has struggled financially under his leadership. Jason Rubin, a CPA, has been suggested as a replacement. So there you go. Just wanted to mention it because we've mentioned it on the show before. That's the only reason. Outside of that, there was no other really real intention on why we were talking about it. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this day. Back in 2017, Jeff Bezos briefly becomes the world's richest man at $91.4 billion, overtaking Bill Gates. His rank would only last half a day, but that was back in 2017. Boy, if things change in 4 years, huh? Think about that. Anyways, also in 2020, John Lewis becomes the first black lawmaker to lie in state in Rotunda in Washington, D.C. The congressman passed away 10 days earlier from pancreatic cancer. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today, if you're so inclined to taking a look at those. Today, Winnie Harlow turns 26. Candy Ken, 27. Jordan Spieth, 27. Taylor Schilling, 36. Alex A-Rod Rodriguez turns 45. Maya Rudolph turns 48. Nikolai Roster Waldo, from Game of Thrones, he turns 50. And Paul Michael Levesque, mostly known to most people as Triple H, that guy, he turns 51 today. Just letting you know. If you're looking for some reason to celebrate today, I got some reasons for ya. So here you go. National Love is Kind Day. National Scotch Day. National Creme Brulee Day. National New Jersey Day. Take your houseplants for a walk day. Take your pants for a walk. Hold on. Take your pants for a walk day? Do you go strutting around normally without pants? I'm kind of confused here. And then Walk the Stilts Day. So there you go. Those are some days of the year that you can celebrate if you're so inclined to do so. Some odd stuff for sure. As we are talking. Don't even know where to go with that. So do you celebrate any of these days that we talk about? Because I feel that we talk about them all the time. And it seems like there is a lot to celebrate, or at least you could celebrate a lot if you're so inclined to do so. I'm going to do this in a different fashion today, so don't shoot me. If it plays, apparently.
I'm Jeff Feiger. Most people don't know that most of the billions of dollars that I've won in the last 42 years since becoming a trial lawyer didn't go to me. It went to the thousands of clients that hired me to be their warrior. That's my passion. That's what drives me. And nobody does it better because I was born for this.
So there you go, our friends at Feiger Law. Yeah, we did the video finally today. So there you go, 1-800-A-WINNER or FeigerLaw.com for more information if you're inclined to do so. I think before we get you the hell out of here this morning, I think it's time for Johnny Smalls to come in, tell us a little bit more about what goes on to get people motivated. Now let's have him talk about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Arthur. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "Men are not prisoners of fate, but prisoners of their own minds." I agree with this one. Have you ever convinced yourself that there's a problem of some kind, only to find out that you're solving a problem that does not even really exist? Maybe I'm alone on this, but I'll bet I'm not. I've worked on projects for hours. It was something that was super important to me because I'd convinced myself that it was important for some reason, only to realize later that it was kind of a waste of time. Don't be a prisoner in your own mind. Think things through and be open to advice from others. It might just save you a whole lot of time. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
There you go, Johnny Smalls, always bringing us some level of motivation, as we are fully aware. Anyways, let me tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide or depression. To find out more information, you can go to afsp.org. That's afsp.org. Or you can call 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Or text the word TALK to 741-741 to find out more information. Anyways, like I always say, it's important to talk about this all the time. Even if you might not be struggling, you might know someone who is. And being able to share that information is so valuable. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick. Let's talk about some whack facts. The most common dream is of following by chased or attacked. Humans can smell over 10,000 different aromas. It takes about 200 muscles to make takes 200 muscles to take one step. In 1500s in England, bears were taxed according to their length. The world has been at peace for only about 8% of the time that the world has been around. So that lasts for about 3,500 years. The inventor of revolving doors did so because he hated opening doors for women. Wow, that's kind of a rough one. Okay, so let's continue talking a little bit more here, just for the sake of doing so. Anyways, let me give you some scoops of BS real quick before we get you out of here. Comic-Con San Diego is over, which means that thousands of nerds have officially packed away their superhero costumes until next weekend. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck made their social media debut as a couple in Leah Remini's Instagram post. If Ben has convinced J-Lo that they are a couple, then they're better out. Then he's a better actor than I thought. Former MLB cheater Alex Rodriguez is 46 today. It's not too late for a gift. He's registered at Bed Bath & Beyond Self-Pretentious. Prince George of Cambridge 8 shared his birthday with David Spade, 57, last week. George and Spade are very different, of course. One is adorable little thing and unjustifiably rich for accomplishing so very little, and the other is the prince. An old Looney Tune, the old Looney Tunes turns 81 today. No, not Donald Trump, but Bugs Bunny. Trump and Bugs are totally different. One is a smart-ass, hyperactive cartoon character, always seen as something orange, and the other is Bugs Bunny. Definitely going to hell for this one.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so if you need a random joke for today, try this one. Please stop asking if I have kids. Those crappy drawings on the fridge are mine. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What common cliche do you find to be true again and again? If you need something for the water cooler, you can always try this. Question. More than 50% of women say that they do this much better than their husband. What is it? You're going to be shocked on this one, possibly. And that would be mowing the lawn. So there you go. Who knew? Who knew that mowing the lawn would be the answer? Okay, so let's do some little bit more. So I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come out and hang out. We'll be playing some music, going through the whole spiel of things, if you're so inclined to do so, and come and hang out and take a listen to what I have to play. If not, you can hang out here on safetyfm.com and take a listen to what we have going on next. The other side of the equation is we are doing some different things now on Twitch, which are different than both radio stations together. So if you want to come and hang out on Twitch, you're more than welcome to. We're constantly doing different shows on there. So you can come out and hang out and do that as well. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show on radiobig.fm and on safetyfm.com. Safety FM is the home of real safety talk. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM, and that is the listener. If I can leave you with a thought for today, I'd love to leave you with this one. Motivation is what gets you in the door. Habits are what make you stay. Think about that. I know who you are. You know who I am.
Duh.
Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.